Okay, here we go. This should work. Sorry, there was a delay before. Let me see if I can send. All right, let's go to this. Okay. New link, new link. All right, maybe if I just go to my YouTube channel. Yeah, let's try this. New link. All right, let's see. Okay, cool. We're having people now come. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna wait a little bit for a couple people to show up because of that glitch, but hopefully everyone's good. I think it is. Hey, Victoria. Hey, Giovanni. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Debbie. I wonder if I can edit this. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to what is this? New Year's predictions and tarot class. That's what we're doing. So what I got to do is I should have done this. It's in the last video, but I'm going to put a link in the description in the chat for everyone to download the guides that we may or may not be using for today's stuff. So I'm going to put that link in the chat right now. That's me in the chat. Thank you guys so much for coming here after. Sorry I messed up the first one, but hopefully this one will be better. But yeah. All right. Okay, cool. Let's see. Okay. So everyone make sure you download those guides. I put the link in the chat, and we'll be working with some of them or all of them. We'll see what happens. And yeah, I'm going to start. What I'd like to do is I want to start with a quick, really quick meditation. And if you're anything like me, what you'll probably do is you won't really do the meditation. You'll listen to me talk about, like, guide the meditation, and you'll consider it, and you'll be like, okay, that's a cool idea, but you won't actually do it. So I'm going to ask that you not be like me and do it because it's very short. And the experience and the mindset that we'll be working with in the meditation is going to is important for what I want to discuss next, and what I want to discuss next, and what I want to discuss next. So yeah, thank you so much for coming. Thanks for hopping to the new link. And I'm going to jump right in with this meditation. So it's really not going to take long. It's one of those things where the more intense you do it, the quicker you can potentially experience something, and the less time it takes. But everyone's different. Everyone's body brain systems are different. So what I'd like everyone to do is you can close your eyes. Yeah, it's best if you close your eyes. It's harder if you don't close your eyes, but it's more trippy if you have your eyes open, but it's easier to close your eyes. So I'd recommend closing your eyes first. So I'd like everyone to close your eyes, and I want you to just pay attention to everything that you're experiencing in this moment. And that includes physical senses. So you can start there. You can start where are your feet, feeling your breath, feeling the temperature in your skin, and just slowly getting more and more subtle in your awareness of your body. And I want you to start also being aware of your thoughts. And I want you to recognize the similarity between the experience of a thought and the experience of a physical sensation. And I want you to pretend for a minute that they're the same thing. Physical sensations, thoughts, or even emotions, whatever shows up, they're all just the same level of experience. So just notice that. And whenever your mind like goes, my mind just goes all over the place all the time. That's just my style. Just notice those experiences. Just watch those experiences. And what I'd like you to do now, and be as vigilant as you can with this, is for every thought or sensation or feeling, for every experience, I want you to ask the question, where is this being experienced? Or another way to ask is, in what is this being experienced? And you might find that that question brings you another experience. So for example, I might feel my hands on the table and I ask, where is this experience? And then I notice, oh, I'm thinking about where is that experience? And then I notice that thought, which is the question, where does that experience exist in? And then I'm going to ask that sensation thought, where does that experience exist in? And you might find that it's kind of similar to the audio feedback loop that was happening when I tried this live a few minutes ago. There was an audio feedback loop. And if you get to that place, that's cool. Make a memory of that and log it in your adventure log, in your mystical, psychonautical log or whatever, or memory. But yeah, so just for another minute or so, everyone that's here, quick little guided meditation, just notice all of your experiences, and under the umbrella of experiences, everything. I'm talking thought, physical sensation, feeling, emotion, anything that pops up, and just ask the question, where does this exist in? And keep asking that question mercilessly. And from here, if you want to take it a step further, you can look and observe all of your experiences, your thoughts, your physical sensations, all of that. And we know that we're looking at all of these things as the same. They're all the same. They're all just forms of sensation. We're going to look at that sphere of experience from the outside in. We're going to look at all of our experiences from that place that we've been asking about. So we're asking, where does that experience exist in? Where does that thought exist in? Where does that physical sensation exist in? And then, can we look at all of those thoughts, feelings, experiences from that place? Cool. And then take as much time as you need there. And if you want to get fancy and do your own thing in that headspace, you can do that. But when you're ready, you can come back to the screen and we'll chat about that a little bit. Okay, so it's a new year. And so one thing I've been really enthusiastic about is, that meditation. By the way, that meditation, that's part of a method I'm going to be teaching in February for my Mysticism for Misfits program, which I'm not going to go into detail right now, but maybe later. But I'm also going to be teaching probably going to be doing a YouTube live on meditation specifically. And we're going to go more into that and other steps. And some of you already have my No Going Back meditation guide. So we'll be looking at that and stuff. But so it's a new year and, New Year's resolutions, a lot of people approaching life and experience in the mindset of being a blank slate, right? So I want to talk a little bit about the Fool before I start doing, I will be doing individual readings today. So if you're here for a reading, I will be doing that probably throughout here and there. I'll be doing a couple reading examples and I might teach a spread or so. But I've kind of been in this pattern of going deep, going crazy existential before I come back into the realm of the particulars, into the realm of divination, right? Because there's like divination, and then there's the space that divination exists in, consciousness. So I want to go broad, and then I'm going to narrow things out and get into more into the world of time, divination. We'll sling some cards, we'll have a good time. But the meditation that we did is connected to the Fool, and to New Year, new me, or no me, no self. So the Fool is like our blank slate, and I want to talk about just for a minute. I want to talk about, or a few minutes. I want to talk about space and the Fool and the Star card. So I'm thinking about New Year, and I'm thinking about the Fool, and I'm thinking about blank slate. And there's something that I have experienced, and maybe you have experienced it as well, especially if you do meditation or if you do maybe energy work, or I don't know, maybe there's many ways to experience it. But I've found that the more I meditate and like really be vigilant with what's happening in here, the more I go about life from pure space. That sounds weird, and I'm going to explain it to you. I first had this experience when I was doing something called Access Consciousness, which is a really cool like energy work modality, and it has a lot of tools. But I started to experience it then, and that was the first moment where I was like, I need to make a memory of this feeling because this is like a good feeling. It feels like there's just space. It's not like complete ego death. It's just like, oh, like there is no heaviness or energy stuck or set. It's just like space, like a blank canvas. And so I've been exploring that through various other modalities and philosophies, and now I'm exploring that in the Upanishads, which is like a whole nother level. And one cool thing about tarot is the like it's the illustration of all the things that can happen in that space, and that space is the Fool. Kabbalistically, and if you follow me, you've probably looked a little bit into Kabbalah, the Tree of Life. Kabbalistically, the Fool is connected to the Hebrew letter Aleph, and Aleph is the mother letter of air. And esoterically, this doesn't mean air as the terrestrial element, like air, fire, water, earth, elements of astral birth, that whole thing. This is not the Empedocles type of air. It's a spiritual air that can be understood to be something comparable to space. Okay, Crowley actually talks about this in the Book of Thoth. So I wanted to start with the Fool and the idea of space. Space, we also see a really specific theme of space in the Star card in the Thoth deck. Let me just pull out the Star card real quick. And y'all probably are familiar with the Thoth deck because it's kind of a big thing on my channel. So a lot of my YouTube followers are into Thoth, so we're going to start here. Star is an illustration of the goddess Nuit, or Nuit, and she is the goddess of space. She is one of the entities that Crowley channeled in 1904. And I'm going to read to you just a quick little line from the Book of the Law that helps explain the Star card. By the way, the Star card is connected to Aquarius. Aquarius is the fixed air sign. So when we think of the Fool as the spiritual air sign, as an expression of space, if we were to kind of ground that into something more, I guess, a little bit more mundane or a little bit closer to the human experience, we would look at those three air signs. And specifically, we would look at the cherubic sign of air, which is Aquarius, which is connected to the Star card. Now, the Star card illustrates Nuit. Nuit speaks in chapter 1 of the Book of the Law, and I'm just going to read this one little line. She says, I am infinite space, and the infinite stars thereof. Do ye also thus. Bind nothing. Let there be no difference made among you between any one thing and any other thing. For thereby there cometh hurt. Okay? So there's a kind of fun thing here. When we're looking at Book of the Law and when we're looking at things from a mystical lens, and especially a non-dualist lens, what we're doing is we are beginning, like in our meditation, to pull away from our experiences and recognize that which transcends our experiences and that which allows our experiences. And so the perfect metaphor for something that is so transcendental and so subtle is space, right? So when I was like younger and learning this energy work and feeling like the best word I could describe my experience was just feels like space. Just feels like space, you know, this neutral space where there's no heavy fixed energy, there's no attachment, there's no anything, there's just space. It's not crazy exciting, but it's not like suffering, you know, it's just space, right? So that led me eventually to look into Thoth and a bunch of other things. But I want to read you guys another account of space as a metaphor, and this comes from probably the biggest existential crisis manifested as a human being. Okay, I want to just introduce you to this guy. His name is Gaudapada. I think he was a medieval Indian scholar, mystic, and he wrote a commentary on one of the Upanishads. And if you want more information about this, Swami Sarva Priyananda has a bunch of YouTube videos that are so beautiful and epic. So if you want to learn about this, but I want to just share with you just a line of his commentary on one of the most powerful Upanishads ever. Pretty much what he does is he very thoroughly, philosophically brings you to the place of admitting that there can't be any, there's no thing really separate, that the ultimate reality is not separate things, okay? And so let me just, what he does is in his commentary on the Mandukya Upanishad, he uses the metaphor of space to describe this ultimate reality, this ultimate ground of being. That's a Meister Eckhart collection of words to describe this. So what he says is he describes human souls as jars within space, but he says that the space within the jar is the same as the space outside of the jar, yet it appears, or we may cognize, that the space in the jar is broken and enters the space outside of the jar, but obviously this doesn't happen, it's just space. So thinking about space in this way, it's a very efficient metaphor to describe the indescribable. So he says, where does he say this stuff? He says, just as the space confined within the jars merge completely on the disintegration of the jars, so do the individual souls merge here in this self. So, and then he goes on to talk about how you can have different contents in different jars, and you can have different things going on in different jars, yet still it's space that encompasses all of that. And that's the Fool, okay? That's the Fool. And my reason of bringing this up to you guys is before we even enter divination, I want everyone to be aware of whatever that space is for them, whatever that existence is, that like existential level of what is that which is even listening to the divination or acting out the divination, or what is being described by the divination, like really, really going as deep as you possibly can, as far as you can inquire within to yourself. Because I believe that when you do that, no matter what shows up in divination, it ultimately doesn't matter, really. You know, I know I have a whole tarot channel on this, and at the expense of driving my entire business, my entire tarot school into the ground, I will say that when you understand what the Fool is, being metaphorically space, consciousness, awareness, then it doesn't matter what shows up at all. That said, let's sling some cards, yeah? I have a couple email questions. I'm going to go over them in a little bit. But yeah, so what shows up in that space? So I put the link in the chat. I'll put it in the chat one more time. This is the link where you guys can download the guides that I will be using for the. I can't put it on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, sorry, I'm not really focused on you. I'm focused on YouTube. So come to my YouTube channel because Instagram honestly sucks, and it's like the worst social media platform ever. So yeah, okay. Cool. So if you have the downloads, what we're looking at here is we have a Thoth guide here, and then we have a Rider-Waite-Smith guide here. They're pretty much the same thing with a few differences. And then we have a little spread for the new year that we may look at. So if I haven't scared you away with my bold, non-dualist rant, then thanks for staying and sticking around. And thank you, Minthu. Yeah, the space idea is something I've seen underlying a lot of anything like modalities and mysticism and stuff. And then I think Gaudapada really like says it the best. So it's called I'm going to put it in the chat. It's called the Mandukya Upanishad Karika. And the one I'm reading from is this one, 8 Upanishads. This version has by Swami Gambirananda. I don't know. That one has commentary by Shankara as well, who really like his commentary is just like, wow, it's beautiful. He just explains it really clearly and like adds stuff a little bit. So cool. I can think of nothing more lovely than starting the new year with a meditation on space and nothingness. Thank you. Oh, yay, I'm so happy. Yeah. Yeah, no, really, like, you know, sometimes I know this sounds like kind of crazy, but like I'm really trying to end suffering. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I think that like ending suffering is a very practical goal, a vast goal, but a very practical one. And we live in a time where the manuals to do that are accessible like this, and the resources to do that are accessible like this. Like, could you imagine being like in the Medici family, like when that whole thing was like all about like the classics and like the resurgence of the occult, and like, could you imagine the ecstasy of like Marsilio Ficino if he knew about the interweb net? Like, he would lose his shit. Like, we have access to everything, you know? So I don't know. I think it's like, and also not only that, but now more than ever, in some ways, a lot of these philosophies and these traditions and these things have been worked on for a long time, like thousands of years. So it's not like, you know, when you read like a philosopher, like when you read the original material, it's like, it's kind of like shit, because it's like they're working out their ideas, and it's like, it's so profound, but it's like, I don't really know what you're talking about. But then as more and more people comment on it, it kind of grows. It's like, it becomes more digestible, but it also just becomes finer tuned. And yeah, so we live in a great time for this. So ending suffering, enlightenment, that's the MO. Okay. And when it's fun because you can link this stuff when you study tarot, and when you study tarot, at least the way I teach it, I teach a lot of the correspondences and Hermetic Kabbalah. It's like, it's all linked in there. Hermetic Kabbalah is like, it's just like a beautiful storehouse of ideas and associations that express, dare I say, the perennial philosophy. Oh boy. Okay. So let me do a couple readings first, and then we'll go into a little bit of tarot teaching. Does anyone like really feel at this moment that they like need a reading? Actually, I do have an anonymous request from someone that I'm going to do a quick reading on M, anonymous M, and then I'll take a couple requests from the chat, and then we'll go into some teaching stuff. So yeah, but seriously, think about what I said about space. Use the meditation, and next time, you're going through it, whatever, like, go to that space of, what am I experiencing this in, or what is having this experience? Cool. All right, so quick thing from, do I have what shows up in space? So M, what I'm hoping for information, if I get a reading, is that I can be more financially stable. Okay, so M wants to know what they can do to be more financially stable. Oh, Yannicka, I forgot to do a shout out to Yannicka. Yannicka's not here, but I think Yannicka wants a shout out. So hi, Yannicka, you're amazing. Please keep this. Okay, so okay, medical bills and family in the past couple of years. I've been borrowing. Okay, so we're looking at financial stability for M. So let's invoke Haru, and then let's get her done. I invoke thee, Iao, that thou send Haru, the great angel set upon the apparition of the secret wisdom, to lay his visible hands upon these consecrated cards of art, that thereby we may obtain knowledge of hidden things in your ineffable name. Amen. All right, so M, I'm going to focus on what you need to know to become financially stable. Okay, we're looking at the Eight of Wands, and we're looking at the Ten of Discs, looking pretty good. We'll just do one more. Four of Wands, this is a great reading. You know, this is so great. It's going to happen really fast. So what's going on for you is I do see a series of events over the next couple months that is going to bring you to, if not a dream job, a really nice side gig. And yeah, it's just going to happen really fast. It may involve writing, it could involve social media, it could involve communication, could involve technology, or maybe even some form of engineering or working in the field or helping any of those fields. But yeah, I see it happening really fast. 10 of Discs is showing me potential for like there's money coming in that. There's also money coming in from an unexpected place that's going to that will support you until you're fully financially stable. So this could be from family, friends. This could be a GoFundMe. This could be anything. Could be governmental. Could be something. But I'm seeing you as fine. And then Four of Wands is like, this is your financial independence. It's really interesting because something about your financial situation is very linked to your purpose, and a lot of both of them together are going to be cleared up and running pretty amazingly, like within like 3 or 4 months. But what I would say is the mantra is what else is possible, and the mantra is also what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can you be to create more money and abundance right away. Cool. Let me check a chat here. Sarah says, Joe, I'm in the beginning of big. Hey, Joe, that was deep. I've been thinking about this year. Thanks for the information. I don't study tarot very often, but I love it. Yeah, it's a fun one. Another thing about tarot is, another thing at the expense of driving my entire academy into the ground, is I love tarot so much, but I swear it's about where the tarot brings you. Like, tarot is cool in itself as a method, as a navigation tool, and as an illustration of mystical philosophy. But if you don't go to the mystical philosophy, it's like it's still cool, but it's about like where it brings you. And then, yeah, then things get cooking. Sarah says, Joe, I'm in the beginning of big changes coming from breaking through some extreme childhood trauma. I'd really appreciate a reading. Thank you. Absolutely, Sarah. Let's check into that. Okay, so, okay, Ace of Swords. So this is cool. This is like when you just put the spotlight on the thing, whatever the thing is. It's like, whether it's looking at trauma, looking at your past, looking at your patterns, it's like, it's the courage of doing the looking, which is sometimes like the hardest part, is just doing the looking. And by the way, when you really start doing the looking, when you start to like self-examine, it starts to unravel naturally, if you do it without judgment. Okay, so that's the trick here. Not judging yourself for whatever's going on in your energy, in your body, in your unconscious, subconscious responses, in your subconscious strategies around world, life, people, whatever. We all got them. Like, honestly, we all have trauma somewhere. We all have, that's what karma is, essentially. Like, it's the causality of, it's just causality. It's like, whatever happened at whatever age caused this feeling, and then that feeling stayed with me and it grew, and now that feeling shows up every time whatever presses my buttons. It's just karma, and it's not bad, okay? So to accelerate the process of that karma, of that trauma, of that whatever, like releasing, this is what you're doing. You're observing, you're watching, you're being aware. That's the Ace of Swords, right? We have the Sun card. So this is liberation. This is forgiveness. This is inner child work as well. This is stopping any gaslighting of yourself, and yeah, and just like letting it shine. So lots of really amazing work you're doing already. Amber. Hey, Amber, how's it going? Suffering has ended as commanded. So be it. I love that. Chris, I'd love a reading about my new job. Okay, Chris, let's check that out. Okay. Okay, so Chris, so this is interesting. I see you, I don't know if it's an office or working with technology. It could also be something political or working with groups of people. I could also see working with large email lists, but there's something where you're working in a place at a nexus point of a lot of influences, a lot of people, could be customers, could be just like a big list of names, and there's a lot there. And there's a lot of energy going back and forth. And I would say, I posted this today on YouTube on a short. Who does this belong to? Just be aware of the energies at the job, and always check in, like if they're actually yours, or if there's somebody else's, because I do see a level of anxiety around the job, but it requires a level of intelligence that you can really fulfill. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. Prince of Swords is pretty badass. You know, he's a thinker. He's very abstract. He has the ability to work with large groups of people and do a lot of cool stuff. Okay. Let me pull these up. Okay, what time is it? We're at 6:35. All right. Cool. Louise, I would love reading about where my spiritual. Oh no, Zita. I'm gonna ask everyone ask a question. So if you want a reading, just like put a specific question down. Luis says, I would love a reading about where my spiritual journey is heading and what I need to be doing. Okay, so that's a good one. The answer is you need to be doing. There's no thing you need to be doing. Your spiritual journey can head as wherever you want. Spiritual. You know what? There's I want to tie it back real quick to the first exercise we did, because there's a moment where even like, you know, you go about life and like there's our material concerns, like how do we get paid? How do we get laid? How do we stay unafraid? Right? Our normal like tarot things that we look into. But then there's like spiritual concerns of like what's happening like karmically or like in our practice or whatever. And what I would argue is, this camera's not focusing. Let's go. What I would argue is that eventually you will, in the same way as you release like certain material concerns at some point, you release spiritual concerns as well. So, because those are also experiences within awareness. Okay, but let's see. Let me see if this can like focus. Okay, cool. I got this like new camera, so I'm like really trying to like flex with it. So like when it's not focusing, I'm like, come on, like it's pretty cool. All right, so 4 of discs. Boundary setting is a big spiritual practice for you. Also, speaking of material things, the use of objects and sensations is big for you. Whether it's grounding or whether it's a means of focusing, you know, sense, smells. Yeah, it could be working with the earth. Also, the home is going to be very important to you. You know, energetically, and maybe if you're doing meditation ritual, whatever you're doing, I see a lot of connections to the home. And advice is 9 of Swords. Is the biggest thing is don't. The biggest thing is to be okay with shame, blame, regret, and guilt. All the distractor implants that we have in the mind. So. Recognize whatever guilt and things are showing up in you and also in other people, and don't make a whole universe out of somebody's like we have strategies, right, that have payoffs when we don't see our full self, right? We all have our things. We all have our little things that we do to kind of feel okay temporarily until we do the growth, right? Whatever that is, right? You know, you can say, you could argue everything I do on YouTube is a subtle little strategy of like, this is going to be my temporary fix until I see the fullness of my consciousness, Brahman, etc. Or we all have our little things, and it's not bad. It's karma, right? So the 9 of Swords is here to show you that, to remind you not to make a whole universe out of whatever that little thing is for you and whatever that little thing is for people around you. Okay. It's just what, you know, it's just, it like, this is like evolution. Like when you like, I mean, I'm no anthropologist, I'm no biologist, but like when you study like evolution, you see like organisms respond to external circumstances and like it's survival of the fittest. They generate these strategies to procreate more, to live longer, to do all these things, right? We do the same thing at the scale of a life, and all of it's fine. Now, as we grow, we start to give up those smaller strategies in order for bigger, larger levels of awareness. And as we see ourselves larger and larger, but in a way, I'm saying don't sweat the small stuff, but also like, essentially, everyone's doing the best they can with what they believe to be true, and don't make a universe out of what somebody believes to be the best thing that they can do at the time. Hi, Dora. Question from Brazil. I love your channel. If I can ask a question, I would like to know if this is a good moment to quit therapy. Okay, Dora, that's a great question. So my honest opinion is everyone needs a therapist, and everyone. And a therapist can also be a guide. It can be a coach. It can be a Jedi master. Like my Jedi master is amazing, and I meet with her every week, and she helps me a great deal. But I think everyone needs something like that. So I would say if you don't, I would say maybe no, because but only you can really decide that. But I'll pull a card for your healing journey around that and see what's up. Adjustment. Okay, this is good. So adjustment is a card of shifting your strategies. We're talking a lot about strategies today. Shifting your strategies, living however we compensate for whatever, subconsciously, whatever. You're shifting those. And that's probably because you're growing, you're learning tools, you're becoming more aware. So I would say that if you are going to quit therapy, I would pick up something else or some other form of self-development or self-inquiry or something. But ultimately, only if that's for you. Okay, let's get into some teaching and lots of. Oh, hey, Anne-Marie, how's it going? Hey, Stacy. Hey, Lazy. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Julie. Hi, everyone. Hey, Anthony. Hey, Domenica. Oh, we do have a lot of Tarot Mysticism kids here. Very cool. Okay, very cool. I'm going to go a little bit into teaching, and then I'll do some more readings. Okay, so I just finished up the Tarot Divination course with the Tarot Mysticism Academy. It was amazing. I love you guys. It was so fun. A lot of you guys are here. And I was really happy with that course because we started with some philosophy, and then we got really into the hard practice of divination, laying the cards down, saying the message, and doing the damn thing. And that was really, really fun because I've been in kind of mystical non-dualist world a lot lately, and to ground myself out in some divination was really cool. So if you're here, that's some of the things you'll find that we look at in Tarot Divination course is in these guides that you can download. And so yeah, for right now, does anyone have any tarot practice questions, divination questions, or just questions about tarot in general that I can answer as we go into a little bit of a teaching thing? Minthu says, I'd love to take tarot lessons with you. Please talk more about it in the end today. Yes, I definitely will. You know what? I want everyone to write their general tarot questions, and while I'm waiting for everyone to do that, I'm just going to go a little bit into what's happening with TMA. So what's happening is in January 25th, we're starting the Advanced Tarot course. I'm officially launching applications tomorrow. And that the application process is going to be smaller than usual. It's just going to be a few weeks. And what we're going to do in Advanced Tarot, that's January 25th, is we're going to be going into the esoteric correspondences. So we just finished Tarot Divination, and now we're looking more into what does Tarot show us beyond just and looking into the world of time, right? So there's a world of time, there's a world of eternity, right? So you see, like on the guide, you see 40 small cards, events in time, you see 16 core cards, people in time, and then you have shifts in consciousness below. But all of this happens in the world of eternity. And what is eternity? The eternity is contemplated through mystical systems and philosophies like Hermeticism, like Kabbalah, like a bunch of stuff. And we're going to be focusing on those things in Advanced Tarot. We're still going to be focused on Tarot Divination, reading for yourself, reading for others. But we're going to be going further into things like the Tree of Life, the numerology, the astrology, the Hebrew letters, all the associations, because that's when the tarot starts to go beyond just how do I get paid, how do I get laid, how do I stay unafraid. It starts to hint at what this is all about, you know, because if those mystics, they know what's going on. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Advanced Tarot is huge though. Like it's pretty freaking big. There's like now there's over 150 videos, probably more, that I'm going to upload. And the videos themselves, there's lots of instructional material around mystical philosophy, Hermeticism, the Pythagorean Tetractys. Yeah, we bring astrology and Kabbalah into it, and then it just stretches the going from divination into like what is, for example, like let's just pull a card. So it's like you have like the Empress, right? And you can say, oh yeah, Empress is like the mother archetype and caring and nurture and growth and beauty and all these great things. But why is it all of those great things? When we start to look at the associations, we start to get a broader understanding of this, not just as a tarot card with divinatory meanings, but as a point of archetypes and associations that shows us our reality. So we start looking at the Empress and we notice that it's the Hebrew letter Dalet. So Dalet, which means door, it becomes the doorway of all of our experiences. And that doorway is symbolic of literally the cosmic vagina, the cosmic womb from which we all come from. So literally, but also like archetypally, also the fertility of the imagination. So there's all these associations with Dalet. Dalet is also associated with the function attributed to Dalet is imagination. So we go beyond just like fertility of creative, of whatever we're doing, love, but also the fertility of the mind to give birth to a bunch of ideas, right? And then you can go into things like the planet Venus. And what does Venus have to do with that? Venus is a planet that governs relationships, and ideas are all exist by their relationship to everything. So it's like you look at your like you can get really non-dualist with this kind of stuff. You look at your device, you look at your phone, you look at whatever you're watching this on, and then you notice that that's really just an idea that creates that. And that idea is made by what it is not, right? That idea exists because of what it is not. What you're focusing on is existing there by virtue of what it is not. It gets into a really cool thing, but Venus creates all the relationships between all of our experiences. Venus is like that, like existentially, Venus is like what allows for shape and color to exist together, right? Something as abstract as shape and color, which can, in a way, they can't exist apart. Like every shape has a color, every color has a shape, and that type of relationship is like archetypal Venus. Venus is also love, right? We also know Venus is love, the planet of art, the planet of aesthetics, the planet of value and taste, and how all of those things give more meaning to the Empress. And then we'll go into things like Empress being the path on the tree of life between Chokmah and Bina, which is essentially our sacred masculine or our sacred feminine. So the path that joins those two big archetypes is the Empress. It's the sexual union of duality that allows for all things to exist. And one thing that you'll begin to notice if you choose to take Advanced Tarot is that all of these symbols, and they're very different, they're very disparate, and they show us different things, but eventually they start to hint at the same thing. They start to hint at a very similar doctrine. I first noticed this when I was younger. I would read books. I was reading stuff like, Arthur Edward Waite, right? You read his Pictorial Key to the Tarot, and he has a lot of good things to say. But sometimes with the majors, it sounds like they're kind of like all the major cards start to talk about the same thing. It's like this spiritual, like grace and spirituality and like higher spiritual ascent coming into manifestation or whatnot. And the reason why they all show you the same kind of thing is because the tarot is holographic. All the cards you'll start to notice illustrate through its symbols and through all these associations the same reality, because there is only that one reality. And guess what that reality is? It's the space we were looking at before. Remember the meditation we did? What is experiencing this? What is underneath? Where is this being experienced? All of those, it gets really cool. It becomes, so all of your experiences, even in themselves, you might even say is like It's holographic. It's all expressions of that inner awareness. And that's what tarot is. You know, a lot of people aren't going to tell you that, but yeah, it freaking goes, it goes there. And when you study these symbols, you begin to see how. But also, I mean, you know, you don't have to have like, you don't have to go down an existential wormhole for this material. It's just, it gives you a fuller understanding of the cards and their relationships and a lot of good stuff. So I'm really excited for Advanced Tarot. It's going to be really fun. The people are amazing. A lot of them are here tonight, but yeah, you know, I'll be honest with you, and I've said this before, but people come into Tarot Mysticism Academy and they want the knowledge, they want the skill set, and they get all of that. But what they don't know that they want is the community. And the community is really what people find the most valuable, I would say. On top of all the knowledge and everything, it's really like I've made already, I feel like lifelong relationships with these students. And students are, you know, they come in and then they continue to work with each other, to practice with each other, to grow with each other. And it's freaking awesome. Like, there's really no feeling like meeting a group of people that has asked the same questions as you, that has had the same experiences as you, that has had the same difficulties as you. Because, you know, in some areas of the world, you can't be just slinging cards on the street. You know, it's not like, it's not something you want, you know, it's a cult for a reason. That's why it's occult. But yeah, it's like, it's really amazing. And I had a couple of students tell me the other day how grateful they were for just all the experiences within the classes and with each other. And really, it's so freaking amazing. So yeah, it's an amazing community. And I'm so excited to see everyone again in January and see it grow. So that's Advanced Tarot. Then what I'm going to do after Advanced Tarot is if you do want to go down the existential rabbit hole of no return, and I really mean existential rabbit hole of no return. If you really want to go down that, I'm facilitating a program called Mysticism for Misfits in February. So what will happen is Advanced Tarot is going to start, and then a couple weeks after that, after we learn the Tree of Life and some basic astrology, it's going to divert. Advanced Tarot is going to continue focusing on tarot as a tool for divination and mystical philosophy. And then on the other side, we're going to be doing at the same time Mysticism for Misfits. We're going to start looking and inquiring within ourselves and essentially looking at what is the Tree of Life and what is beyond the Tree of Life. And we're going to be reading a lot of texts. We're going to be looking at things from the Upanishads to some pre-Socratic to some Neoplatonic things probably. And we're going to be discussing texts. I'm also going to be teaching meditative techniques that has changed my world. And we're also going to be doing a razor sharp healing method that my Jedi Master taught me that has honestly helped me get to where I am today. Probably the single most influential thing in my world that has helped me build Tarot Mysticism Academy and manifest amazing relationships and just generally feel pretty awesome all the time is this one technique. So I'll be doing a lot of that. And yeah, so if you want to come in and like really like work on yourself and let a lot of shit go, you know, we all have our shit in a really fast, really intense, but really loving way with a really supportive community. Mysticism for Misfits is definitely for you. It's not for anyone because I'm not going to say it will be easy, but it will absolutely be amazing. I'm bringing out my biggest weapons of self-development that really just accelerate karma, essentially. So I'm really excited for that. Cool. So that'll happen. And then there's more programs after that. We're doing a Thoth Tarot Mastery course, which is a popular one where we go do a deep dive into Old Faithful over here. And then we will do a professional readers mastermind for people that want to learn how to become tarot professionals. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, I'm really excited. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And yeah. Yeah. And it's growing, so there are limited spots. I do, for all eligible applicants, I just have a general first come, first serve policy. So I do recommend applying early. Also, the earlier that you apply and enroll, the earlier you can start on the material, and there's a lot of material. So yeah, check in with your intuition if you're feeling called. It's not for everyone though. It is a lot of material, and we do work at a very high level in terms of the things that we're discussing, the work that we do. So yeah, I find that if it is for you, it's very for you. But yeah, so check in with your intuition on that. I'll put the curriculum in the chat. Let's go to the curriculum. So if you want more information on that, you guys have probably seen it, but just to be, yeah, I'll put that here. Okay, cool. I have lost my place in the chat, so I'm just gonna scroll back. How do you, okay. Joe, are you working with reverse cards? I don't work with reverse cards because I'm lazy, but also because in the Thoth deck, you don't really work with reverse cards. It's not intended to be worked with reverse cards, at least not explicitly. So I don't really, but you can, and reverse cards can be another layer of meaning, and that can be totally cool. But reverse cards, generally, reverse card is either the opposite of the meaning, a delay in the divination, or a blocked energy within that meaning. That's an easy way to kind of look at that. How do you recognize different energies in a reading? Oh, that's a good question. How do you recognize different energy? Well, I mean, the cards, right? We'll show you. It's going to depend on you and like how you experience divination. For me, it's very conceptual. Like I see it in ideas and images. So in that sense, it's more like I'm peeking through and like looking at, and the ideas are flowing. But sometimes I will be given a memory or a familiar feeling in my world that I can explain to the questioner, and through my own experience, I can kind of see what's going on with the questioner, which you have to be a little careful with because projection is very alive and real, and you don't want to like project your own shit on all your clients. That said, I would argue that can you experience anything that isn't projection? It's kind of like a phenomenological thing. How can an ace be an obstacle or something to relinquish? Is that the opportunity is not right for the picking? Oh, that's a great idea. So that's a good idea. So aces being opportunities, they can be like, not every opportunity is for you. So an ace can be like really tempting and really exciting and really, but it might not, if you're really like, let's say you're really focused on yourself. Let's say you're focused on finances or career, and you're focused on, fire, career, or finances, discs, earth. The Ace of Cups might not be one that you choose to take up. You could, but I don't know. Julie says, Joe's class has enriched how I live life so much. Oh, thank you, Julie. You're amazing. Julie's all you guys are such a pleasure to have you in class. It's been weird not seeing you guys every week, but thank you so much, Julie. Second that, Julie. Thank you. Thank you, Amber. Related to Stacy's question above, is it true that an ace in divination signifies something that the querent will not immediately know about, given the aces correspond to Keter and can't be known? Okay, so here's so no debut. This is a really good question. And actually, it's something that I want everyone to really get. If you're studying Tree of Life, if you're studying Kabbalah with Tarot, this is kind of important. So first, we have to recognize that Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, that comes from a long-standing tradition that is really, really deep, very extremely profound, and in some ways even dangerous. It's very profound. And it's essentially it's mysticism, but it's very intellectual. So it's attempting to understand the source of creation, God, etc., the universe, yourself. And the tarot illustrates that as well. But when you're using those associations in divination, the associations take a little bit of they kind of almost like, they go down a couple floors in terms of philosophy and in terms of the scale and the scope of what we're looking at. So, for example, if I pull the Ace of Wands, I'm not going to tell my client, oh, the Ace of Wands is the Big Bang. It's the beginning of the universe. It's Keter in Atziluth, and it is the prima mobile, because that client probably wouldn't come back to me. Maybe they would if they're into that kind of stuff, and some of them are, but most clients probably wouldn't resonate with that. So when we kind of go down a few floors, we're using the tree of life and all those associations at a lower level, which we still use those associations, but we use them a little bit more in an almost like a colloquial sense of the idea. So the catcher is still the source of something. It is still the monad. It is still all of those things. But in a life, it's not as existential. It's and you're right. There is a subtlety to it. You said it's something they wouldn't immediately know about. I would say, yeah. I would say an ace is not an immediate and an obvious thing. But I do think that the aces are you will eventually see them or feel them if you're looking for them, if you stay aware, if you're paying attention. That ace of wands could be a job opportunity. That ace of discs could be an investment. The ace of cups can be a potential new relationship, meeting somebody new. The ace of swords can be maybe a new intellectual pursuit or a new idea. But they're much more in the scale of a life. But that's a good thing. TMA community is amazing. Love you guys. Yes. TMA equals Malkuth, the Misfit Kingdom. Yes, the mystical misfits are good. Debbie Bald, we love you too. Oh, thank you, Debbie. Dora says, the way you explain metaphysics is amazing. Such difficult concepts, and I can understand what you are saying, even though I am not a native English speaker. That's amazing, Dora. That is so cool, because I can barely speak English. And if you're understanding these things from another language, that is so cool. I love that. I'm not even unilingual. I'm a fraction of that. So that's so cool. Okay, let's thank you, Amber. Okay. You stopped doing readings up when you read my comment about how important it was. You stopped doing readings up when you read about how important it was. So then is the actual goal to become undefinable oneself, to ascend, to rejoin the all? I mean, oh, Julie, I love this question. Julie always asks the deepest questions, and I love it. So is the actual goal to become undefinable oneself, to ascend? So it depends on who you ask. So from this moment, like from the colloquial matrix world, the normal world of not me like talking crazy, in a sense, we might say, yeah, there's like eventually you become undefinable and you might merge with the all, right? The Kabbalion, the all, or the oneness, like the Plotinus is the one. Yeah, in a way where you would imagine, like, let's say a jar of water, you're pouring the water back into the ocean. Totally. I would say yes, and I think that's true. But then, and this is my non-dualist Advaita Vedanta hyperfixation speaking, according to like a staunch non-dualist, they would say something to the effect of, there is no separate part to be joined with a whole. Okay, super radical. So in the sense that the space that a jar is taking up is not different than the space outside of the jar, if we were to look at Gaudapada's metaphor. And I like that. I like the radical non-dualist view. And you have to be careful because, and this is why a lot of these things are like not in some it's like the esoteric nature of this. It's not meant for everybody, but it's like you could interpret that as like nihilism, and that's completely missing the mark, right? So, but yeah. But to rejoin the all, yeah. Sarah says, I feel like I'm in love with someone I've been working with you for years. Can you please give me some energies on how he feels? I can totally handle it. If the quick reading says he is not interested. Okay, let's look into that. So, Nine of Swords. Okay, so there's like Nine of Swords in a question like this could be some sort of trauma bond or things kind of unresolved between the two of you. But Nine of Swords is also a racing mind about things. The big thing is like if you're hoping to get back with a previous loved one and your mind is racing around them, then that probably pushes them away, because to use the experience and the metaphor of space, if you're filled with any kind of like intense desire, longing, attachment, then you're fixing energies in space, and you lose the space that you are, right? But when you let go of all those things, when you let go of all those thoughts, longings, and this is easier said than done, okay? I'm not trying to minimize your experience at all. But when you start to mine away at all of these things and you become space again, the person will feel that space, and they will feel that tug start to go away, and then a lot of times they end up showing up in your life or reaching out to you. But the Three of Discs is saying, Three of Discs is potential for things to work out. Three of Discs is sometimes a working relationship or a collaboration. So I don't know if this person's connected with work or hobbies or things that you like to do, or maybe you might connect with them through that. But Nine of Swords is saying, like, if the longing for the person does not feel good, recognize that, because that means that somehow in that person's energy somehow is not quite aligned with you, right? I love readings. They're the best. Like there's a lot of things. There's a lot of tools that come up through love situations, and in love is, and I hate to say this, and I'm not trying to be mean, but like a lot of times when we think about being in love, it's like it can feel solid, right? Think of if anyone has a love question right now, this is for you. Think about right now, if you're thinking about someone, like when you imagine yourself like loving them, does the love feel heavy? Does it feel like a grasp or a holding, or does it feel like space? Just notice that. If it feels like a grasp, or it feels like a tension, or it feels heavy in some way, then be curious about that, because that may not have much to do with them. Grief is a different thing, by the way. I'm not talking about grief. And grieving the loss of someone, whether mortally or just not in your world, that's a different thing. But even grief, there's a space, So just notice that. And yeah. I will also say what my Jedi Master told me. If somebody is meant for you, you won't be able to get rid of them. But if they're not meant for you, it's best that you just do get rid of them, because you won't be able to keep them, and vice versa. So Leslie says, I would love some advice for the new year. I've been pretty unhappy this year and want to know what I can do to change that and maybe even find a life partner. I love your question, Leslie. This is really good. Okay, so my first thing for you, Leslie, is notice right now the unhappiness. And I want you to notice where that is. Is that a thought? Is it a feeling in the body? Is it a memory? Is it a thought about the future? Notice where that is, and then notice where that experience exists in. Okay, so what is aware of that unhappiness? And see if that does anything. And start to pull, and I'm not saying ignore whatever that unhappiness is, but I want you to observe that sensation of unhappiness from the space that you are, and see what that does. But let's see. I would love some advice. So what you can do to change that is the sun. Okay, sun. One thing I'm getting is get outside, and that's a big. I really would not say that to just anyone, but I'm really getting that strongly. I don't like the outdoors. I love the indoors, but this card is telling you to do something outside, connect with the sun, and the sun card is about self-liberation, innocence, and also in a way forgiveness. It's like it's connecting to the contribution that you are by connecting to your inner spontaneity, by your inner flow, by your flow state, by almost pure being. And making that, taking away any wrongness that you put on that. And so when you do that, you start to radiate, your energy expands. And then when you do that, people won't leave you alone. Because when you're so in the flow of you, which is not ego, well, it is ego in a little bit, but it's not like narcissism. That's the opposite. When you're so in the flow of you, it just naturally is an invitation, right? Because what you're saying is, I am enjoying myself doing my thing so much that it's naturally attractive. People say, oh my God, they're really in the pocket. They're really doing the thing. They're like, yeah, they're so inspired. They're really doing what they love. When you find that, you'll start to attract people that are at the same energy. So you have to advertise the energy that you really are, because if you don't advertise that energy, you're not going to find people that have the same energy. You have to advertise. So whatever that is, whatever quirks, whatever aspects of you, whatever mechanisms, whatever creativities and talents and things that are going on, you have to just let those things out, and you will really, yeah. When you let that out with courage and self-love, people look at you and they say, oh my God, I'm that way too. And the way that you're wearing that energy is so freaking nice. Let's chat about it. Yeah. So yeah, start with that. Damn, that was a good love reading. You're amazing. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I love love readings. Love is it's like the most ironic thing, right? Because it's love. So how could it be wrong, right? How could it go wrong? Because it's love. And yet we make it go wrong. We label things. I used to gaslight the shit out of myself with love and relationships, and be like, I would just dig myself into a hole of judgment and all this bullshit around, like, what is love? And I'm like, oh no, it's just love. It's just being. It's easier said than done. Lately, things have been hitting my solar plexus so hard it makes me physically sick. Is there a quick way to purge an energy dump? Oh, okay. Okay, so a couple things here. If things are hitting your solar plexus, I would definitely look into that and ask. That's a good time to be like, who does this belong to? And I return this to. So everywhere you've bought and made that yours, will you return that to sender with consciousness attached? Another thing you can ask yourself, and these are just questions to get the energy moving. You can ask if you're drawing that to your solar plexus. You can ask yourself, what is the benefit to that? Maybe there is none, but just be curious. What's the benefit to whatever's happening in your solar plexus? If it's from other peoples or entities or whatnot, you can ask, what's the benefit in this? Then there's clearings you can do as well, like return to sender. But another thing is, well, the big question is, if it is yours, then you just want to give it your awareness. You can choose to process it or be curious about it. And if it's not yours, you send it back. March 2023 reading. It's literally life or death. John Egan. Okay. March 2020. I'm assuming you're asking for a reading about March and that it's a life or death situation. Well, I would say if it's a life or death situation, I have to have more information on this to go into it in a good way. I think it's just my energy influx, like too much vibration at once. Okay, this is a good one. I actually like that you brought this up, Julie. So, and this is also for anyone here. I imagine if you're here, you're probably like some sort of psychic, aware, intuitive. You have some sensitivities working for you, right? Because we don't get into this stuff unless we have some sort of sixth sense or seventh sense or whatnot. This is funny you mentioned this. This was happening to me last night. Sometimes I wouldn't be able to tell you what's going on, but sometimes we get into things and energies flow, and then they flow harder, and then they flow harder, and then it just gets really intense. And I am of the belief, and you don't have to have this belief, but I am of the belief that generally we really curate almost all of our experiences. So if there's an energy that's becoming really intense or becoming solid or just becoming very noticeable, be curious about it, and you can ask, what am I making this for, right? And because there's a level of getting to a place where, and I'm all about boundary setting and like closing the doors energetically and having energetic hygiene. That's all good. But there is a place where you begin to do the exact opposite, where you recognize, and this goes back to that first meditation we did, that being the space that you are that space is so pervasive and so subtle that it is what allows for whatever you're experiencing. And when you do that, you release your identification with what you're experiencing, energetically or otherwise, and that starts to lessen, I find. It starts to kind of lose significance. So I would say a lot of people that do this type of work with tarot or energy work, they're very creative, we're very right-brained people. It's very easy to make things, and sometimes it's fun, to make things bigger, right? And make certain energies bigger, right? And that's also okay. So always start to explore, like, am I making this bigger, or am I labeling this as something and maybe it's not something? Or like stay in the question about it. And the more you stay in the question, the more I find energy kind of loosens up. John Egan says, I have a dangerous job. Okay. Any more information would ruin the reading. It's my life at risk. Okay, well, my advice is, if you want to keep living past that month, I would look at the cost and the benefit of what that is. So I would recommend maybe looking at a different job. If your life is at risk in this job, maybe a new job is a favorable choice. But yeah, let's pull a card for that. I'm gonna look into work and job in general for you and see what's up, see what we can get. Okay, we're looking at the Hanged Man. So the thing with the Hanged Man is, I'm gonna be straight with you, because this sounds like a very intense situation. But what the card is saying is the Hanged Man in the Thoth deck is a card of a martyr. So I would say that it's unnecessary passivity in the context of Thoth. So I would say whatever this job is, it might not be that necessary if your life is at risk. And I would definitely explore other opportunities and other possibilities. Always remember that you are the creator of your world. So whatever job, relationship, the things that show up in some way or another, you've created it and you can uncreate it. So yeah, let me see where we're at, 7:16. Okay, I'm gonna go over a couple email questions before this is when I start saying we're gonna start to wrap up, and then it goes on for another like 45 minutes or so. But I'm gonna go over, Erica, Joe, could you please shed some light on my current relationship? I'm with someone who's much younger than I am, and they're struggling psychologically in life overall. What is the potential for our love? I love that. Okay, so Erica, I'm gonna do something with you before I go into the reading. I want you to think about this person, think about their name and their energy. And I'm gonna ask you the question, notice what your body does. What will your life be like in 5 years if you stay together? Feel that. What will your life, now I'm going to ask, what will your life be like in 5 years if you don't stay together? Feel that. Notice what shifted. Tell me what feels lighter. Let's look. I'll pull a card for that though. Okay, we're looking at the Four of Discs. So Four of Discs is like a card of comfort, and I'm getting that the two of you, there's a lot of mutual contributions in this relationship. In some way, the two of you provide like a sense of home, a sense of togetherness, a sense of structure, a sense of coziness. Four of Discs, being a card of Discs, it can be that it can be a very physical relationship. Maybe it's a very sexual relationship, and that can absolutely be an element that keeps people together. Totally, why not? You also having the Universe cards. So what I'm seeing is with the Universe and the Four of Discs, it's like the two of you somehow represent to each other a comfortable, like, I just kind of see you two in this nest or something, and it's comfortable, and there's nothing wrong about it. So it's really up to you. I actually see things as kind of like working out as you kind of help each other. And they're struggling psychologically. But yeah, I would say another thing is, what is the potential for our love? I'm going to ask you to shift that a little bit. Because and the question, shift it into the question, what contribution what energy can I be to create the most contribution for them? And you might find that when you ask the question a lot, you might find the two of you start to distance or the two of you start to get closer. Because the contribution that you are could be either of those. It could be being in this person's life, and maybe that is really helpful, but maybe because sometimes the space that the person leaves behind or the space that you leave behind by leaving might be more beneficial to them. But check in that very question will, check in with that. It'll do some really good stuff. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. I'm just gonna scroll through chat to see if there's any things that I missed. I probably missed a lot of things. If I didn't answer a question, whether it be a tarot question or a question about the school or any kind of question, just write it one more time. And then whatever course you take with Tarot Mysticism Academy, you do have the recordings for life. I do find a lot of people will go back to the recordings and retake it, or sometimes even retake it live. But yeah, it's lots of info. Cool. All right. So I guess right now I'll teach. There's a couple questions that are I want to go through that were asked by Richard. So hopefully Richard is here. So Richard's questions are shuffling, dealing, and splitting the deck. Are the cards in a quantum superposition before you flip them? Do we influence each card just before flipping? If so, who does, the querent or the reader? I love this one. Are the cards in a quantum superposition before you flip them? Okay, so I'm going to, let's go over the New Year reading. I'm very ADHD. I'll just switch course like in 2 seconds. Okay, let's go over the New Year reading. Okay, so and then I'll come back to Richard's question. So the 2023 year head spread, very simple. So normally, like what I would do for a year head spread is I would pull one card for every month. But I started to feel like when you pull a card for every month, it kind of like plants a seed that you might not want there. If you get like bad cards in certain months, and all bad cards can be good cards as well. There's no bad cards. It's all great, but also no one likes a bad card. So yeah, I made this bad boy. So this is a 6-card spread, and it's pretty simple. The first card is the general energy of the year, just general vibe, whatever. The second card is the karmic influences. So I'm really about karma right now. Like I'm really into karma and not learning about the profound idea of karma from like these amazing Indian texts, and then incorporating it into personal self-development. It's pretty awesome. So I find, when we're reading tarot, it's kind of like we're just looking at that karma. And some might say, oh no, you're looking into the future, you're looking into the past. And I don't think that they're wrong, but I would say that I find that looking at it through a karmic lens, it's more, I just find it a little bit like more sophisticated. It's like, it's just because what does the tarot always tend to do? For me and for a lot of my students, it shows you where you're at now, which includes the proclivities that will lead you into certain future circumstances and the current effects from past circumstances. So I know a lot of people would agree that time doesn't exist. It's an invention. So in that sense, we're kind of more looking at karma, the causal, the dominoes that are knocking into each other. That's what kind of the tarot shows. So in card 2, general karmic influences, things to be aware of. That can include motivating factors, and it can include the subconscious strategies that kind of we mentioned in this class a few times. It can include tendencies, fears, hopes, all that good stuff. And then, so that's card number 2. And then, and if you guys don't have this, you can get it. I'll post it again because I didn't put this in the chat. You can get it there. And then 3 is advice. So 3 is advice, focus, guidance, all that stuff. So where you're looking to. So this is kind of like, it's not past really, but it's kind of like past because it's karma. It's like no, this is like past karma. It's like just the nuts and bolts of what's keeping you together, whatever that is. Your attractions, your aversions, your tastes, your tendencies. And then 3 is advice, focus, and guidance. So when I make a spread, what I like to do is I like to have at least one, or actually just one card, not at least, just one card that is a focus card, which allows me to kind of almost make it a mantra or make it a focus. Because when you have a spread, after you go 2 or 3 cards, you go more than that. It's a lot to think about and memorize throughout your life. So instead of me walking around thinking, oh, I have these 6 cards I have to keep in mind as I make these choices and then feel these things and get jiggy with it and whatever, I just have one card in the spread that is my focus card. So that's the card that I will take away from the spread and think about through the day to day. And that card in this spread is number 3. So Sybil, what should I focus on? So 4, 5, and 6 is our 3 main pain points of a tarot reading, which is how you'll be getting laid, how you'll be getting paid, how you'll be getting laid, and how to stay unafraid. So this is how you'll be getting paid is just work, career stuff, financial reality, and 5 or what you can learn from that. 5 is how you're getting laid, your relationships, and 6 is how to stay unafraid. Which is ultimately how you see yourself, your relationship with yourself, your journey, all that. So let's. I'll do this spread for one person. Everyone, I don't want to do this spread for every single question, but who's like feeling like, oh, they like really need like some attention on something, like they really need some support or guidance on something. Let me know, and I'll do that spread for you. I'm going to choose, I'm just going to go back in the chat. Maria says, how can I have more confidence in myself? I have been feeling not really motivated and has been hard to see the solutions of my problems. Okay, so what if, Maria, there's not, so you're looking for a solution, right? That's a specific thing to a problem. What if there's just choice, right? So I'm going to tie it back to the thing we did in the beginning of this class. We did a meditation on space. I don't know who was there, who's still here from that, but because when we're like solution hunting, it's like we can just keep cutting down hydras, right? Because we'll find a solution and there's always going to be another problem. Like when I started my online business, it was like, I would always be like, if I could only achieve this, everything will be fine. And lo and behold, I would achieve it, and everything was not fine. There was always something else that needed a solution. And still, every day, there's something that needs a solution. There's software, there's marketing things, there's like lots of all my departments, my PR, my everything. There's always a solution that is needed. So instead of that, the question is, what choice can you make? You have infinite choice, okay? But when you ask, you know what I mean? Like, do you feel that, like, when you're looking for a solution, when you say, oh, there's a problem, what is the solution? There's like, do you feel that there might be a heaviness, as opposed to what choice can I make that would make life more ease, joy, and glory right away? See how that's a little bit more space? There's a little bit more room to dance with that one, right? It's a little bit more jazzy, like, but let me check in with you. I'm going to pull a card for that. How can you be more confident in yourself? 6 of Swords, recognize your intelligence. It's funny, you're asking about solutions, and this card is a solution-driven card. You're a problem solver, probably, I'm going to imagine. Maybe I might be wrong, but I'm seeing a problem solver. You're good at fixing things. You're good at fixing situations. So I would say recognize that you have that ability to fix things and go and do that in a way that's fun for you, that makes you more money, that makes you more abundance, right? So I don't know what that is. If that's fixing things, fixing people, fixing situations, you're a fixer. So enjoy that part of yourself and have fun with it, and find a way to get paid to do it. And really, the coolest thing about smart people is most of the time the smartest people are the ones that don't think they're the smartest, right? And the most ignorant people really do think they are, right? Recognize your intelligence. I've got a lot going on, being homeless and unsure what I need to do. Okay, let's. CJ Mike, I'm going to use the spread, the year ahead spread for you. So y'all can follow along if you want. CJ Mike, do you read tarot? The reason why I'm asking him just because if you're here, maybe it's something that you like to do, and maybe it's something that you're good at, because that can definitely bring in cash. CJ Mike, all right, being homeless and unsure of what I need to do. So I'm going to give you the 2023 year head spread. We're starting with general energy of the year for you. General energy of the year is 4 of Wands. So I actually see a lot of different things coming together for you over the next year. Could be people, could be places, could be sources of support. 4 of Wands is also a big completion card. So it could be a project or a goal that you've had in mind that you may achieve. Number 2, karmic influences. Okay, the Prince of Wands. So 2 things, CJ Mike, 2 things. One, be either be careful of being how do I want to put this? Either you're drawn to people that can put on a show, or you like to put on a show. And in a way, I think this may be holding you back. You have charisma, okay? But something about the Prince of Wands, it's you want to use that charisma in a way that supports you, and you have a way of finding charismatic people that can support you or can hold you back. But be aware of the energies that you're bringing in. Advice, focus, and guidance for you is the 3 of Swords. So there's certain things that are just not going to be there anymore for the new year for you. I don't know if it's people, places, things, relationships, things from the past. 3 of Swords is like separation, and 3 of Swords can be grief. So one thing to focus on is allow yourself to process whatever thing feels like it's missing, okay? And I want you all to go, and again, I'm going to bring it back to that early meditation. If you weren't here for the meditation, rewatch this live, because the meditation will do a lot of good things. When you go back to the meditation, when you because the 3 of Swords is focusing on letting go of what's not there. And when you let go of what's not there, and when you let go of your attachment to whatever that thing is, you start to recognize that you you start to recognize that there can't be anything taken from you. When you do that enough. If you do that meditation in the beginning of class enough, really, you get to a place of like, oh my God, there's literally nothing that can come and go. There's no thing that can be removed from me. Okay, number 4, how you'll be getting paid. Okay, let's look into this. Okay, the Lover's card. Okay, this is interesting. So this could be, I'm seeing a lot of support from people. Could be friends, family, but can also be listening to your intuition. Is going to be, Lover's card is a card of intuition. Can also be something intellectual. Could be something about writing or something that uses your mind. But yeah, I actually see you having multiple streams of income from a number of sources. So be open to possibilities. Follow your intuition. How are you getting laid? Relationships. The Magus card. You're such a good talker. You're like such a good speaker. You're like, I see you as like an MC. Like, you really have charisma. You're good with words. You're good with connecting with people. Yeah, I can see you're good with drawing people into your life. You can find people very easily. You can create the energy and then invite that energy pretty quickly. So you can manifest pretty easily. So in terms of general relationships, honestly, be more clear on what the type of person is you want in your world, and how you're staying unafraid, the Aeon. So lots of things are changing in your environment. I don't know if that's like legally or culturally or energetically, with family, with friends, with wherever you're hanging out. There's a lot of things shifting, and a lot of things not going back to the way they were. But ultimately, this is going to support you. So the big focus is, remember, let go of what's not there anymore, and use your talents. That's big. Okay. I've got a lot going on. Stacey, yes, please keep moving forward around the country, trying to find work, purpose, community, relationships. I'm fine, but what the fuck is going on with me? Let's look into Stacy for a sec. What's going on with community? Okay, so the Prince of Wands, Stacy. So okay, what I'm getting with this is there's a period of time that I don't really play poker, but I'm gonna try and maybe fail to use a poker metaphor. But like I feel the Prince of Wands is telling me that in some cases you're folding too early, or I don't want to say like you're totally giving up, but you're looking at a situation and rationalizing, saying, okay, yeah, this is probably not going to work out, and kind of pulling away from it too quickly. And I don't want to, it's hard to say because like on the other extreme, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. But the Prince of Wands is saying, now's the time for confidence and yeah, just owning your talent. And I mean, I know you're an amazing writer. Like you're a wordsmith, and you just weave words together in ways that just make me giggle. Like they're so freaking cool. And that's a little bit of the Prince of Wands too. Like there's a passion, there's an excitement, there's charisma. Just yeah, recognizing that in yourself and recognizing that as a contribution. Yeah. I also get the sense, I'm looking at the Six of Cups here. I also get the sense taking risks in other ways. So however you've taken risks so far, like take it, I'm not quite sure what that is. I don't mean to be cryptic, but yeah, taking risk in other ways. Atlas says, can you pick a card from me and my boyfriend? Is he playing me, or are things going to work out fine? I've been asking this and drawing Two of Cups all the time. Every time I see this card, I started to cry. So I have a question for you, Atlas. This is going to be more valuable than the reading. When you cry, what's is there a thought behind it? Is there like an image, or like does your mind go to someplace, and is that connected to the tears? Or is there no thought behind it? It's a very important question. I'm still going to pull a card for you though, but let me know which one that is. So the and card is a point of no return. So the and card is either like the two of you will accelerate in your relationship and improve really fast, or you will start to move apart. And card's the Aeon card is a card of sacrifice, though. It's a fiery card. It's intense. It burns things up, and it's like, but it accelerates a process of self-realization that often requires like the sacrifice of small things. So in that sense, I cry because I keep thinking about it, that it means we're gonna be happy together, but it doesn't happen. Oh, okay. I thought so. When you close your eyes and think about being with him in 5 years, feel that. And when you close your eyes and thinking about not being with him in 5 years, feel that, and tell me what feels lighter. Amber, Graciela, what does the 23 cohort of mysticism school start? The mysticism will be starting right now. It's scheduled to start February 6th. Whatever Monday is closest to February 6th, which I think is February 6th. But I might ask if we can. I'm going to check in with the students that are already enrolled. I might ask if we can push it a week later, because I don't want to put too fast with advanced tarot. But right now it's February 6th, and that's going to run for 5 weeks. Amber Lynn, 2023 for you. We're looking at Seven of Swords. Okay, so you have a lot of good ideas and a lot of good goals, but you don't have the right environment yet for those ideas and goals. And I know you're very talented, and you have some big ambitions, and I love them. It's now about finding the people, places, and things that are in alignment with those, right? This is huge. A lot of you guys are like me. You're mystical misfits. Like, you can try as hard as you want. You're never going to be human, right? Like I'm like the farthest from a human. Like if you're a mystical misfit, if you're a humanoid, if you're like, you're just not going to be human. You can try as hard as you can, you know, but when you try to be human, it like restricts yourself. So find other mystical misfits, find other humanoids, find other like awesome people that are connected with your goals. Okay. If you're on my Instagram, come to my YouTube because I'm only going to look at the YouTube chat. Sorry guys. Not being with him hurts to even think. Thank you for the reading, by the way. I trust your energy. So yeah, Atlas, it's a good, yeah. So with that Aeon card, really bring it always back to yourself. Like whenever you're asking about somebody else, always bring it back to yourself. And the question usually is, it usually comes down to, is what I'm creating with this person what I want from my world, and is it a contribution to both of us? And if what and it might not be, right? Because a lot of times, and it's happened with me a lot, you'll try to create something with someone that doesn't have the capacity for what you're trying to do, and you'll just never. Sometimes they do. So you have to really look into your intuition with this. You might find that yes, like this is a person that what you're creating with this person is what you're trying to create for your world, and then own that and be grateful for that person, because that energy is, see that when your gratitude is a cheat code for life. It's not people talk about gratitude like it's this consequential thing, like why aren't you grateful for what you have, blah 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 blah, and it's like not like that. Like gratitude is a cheat code. It like undoes so much bullshit, and it just literally attracts more good stuff. So be grateful for whatever they are in your world, and be very discerning with this. You know, think about what you want to create for your world and notice how this person aligns or doesn't with that. But when you can do that without like judgment of them or you, you'll be in a great place. GT no debut says GTG pretty late here. Thanks Joe for the awesome class and demonstration. Yeah, thank you. Sam Chen, can you give me any insights for 2023? Yeah, totally. Excited to find my misfits. Yes. Okay, Sam Chen, and then we're gonna wrap up. Okay, insights for 2023. Okay, Queen of Discs. So I'm kind of getting a sense that for you right now, it's a time to enjoy, but still work on the things you've created already. So I don't see you on the front lines, like directly putting things into place, whether that's business-wise, career-wise, relationship-wise. I don't see you necessarily like manifesting and like building up the life you want. I kind of see you actually relaxing just a bit to see all that you've created so far and just kind of like govern that, all the energies in your world, and see how everything works together, your relationships, your job, your goals, your all those things. And enjoy it for a bit, but just kind of check in. So the Queen of Discs is very powerful. She is the intuition that pervades all of the whole ecosystem of whatever is going on. In this case, it's like an oasis, right? It's the water, it's the soil, it's the trees coming up, all of these organisms and forces and elements, that the underlying intuition that guides it all, that's her. So connect with your intuition, see the whole picture, enjoy it, and but that's a different kind of effort. It's a little bit, it's an active passivity. Yeah. Julie says, how does the Nine of Swords connect to getting paid? The Nine of Swords connect to getting paid. Nine of Swords with getting paid could be certain types of trauma work or change work or therapy or helping people with the Nine of Swords like situation, or it could, that's probably where I would go with it. You can also look at like Mars in Gemini. Yeah, working with the mind, working with difficulty. Yeah, that's probably what I would say. Adrian Alican, hi Joe. I know my twin flame is going to reach out this month. I can feel it. There's a new person that I've started dating. We are so new, but I like him. Where should I put my energy? Ooh, okay. Well, this is a really cool question. I have a hot take about twin flames. The thing about, I'm not saying this is the case with you, but I would be generally careful with the idea of twin flames, because that's labeling something that is already very like, it's kind of a nebulous concept, and I don't even know where it really came from. But I find, and I'm not saying this is in your case, but I have found that people often, when they use the idea of twin flames, it doesn't help them. It harms them, because the twin flame is a conclusion, and a conclusion sets an energy in place, and it lowers your freedom in a way. It lowers the possibility. So with that said, you probably have an intuitive hit on this twin flame or whoever's coming, and that person that is coming, you might find that to be the person that you're already dating, or it could be somebody new. So it's it. But you know what? I totally feel, because I've manifested partners like that. I've totally felt like, oh, it's going to be like, but it's not an attachment. It's like, oh yeah, it's probably within the next month or so, I can kind of feel the energy is shifting. I just feel another point of consciousness. I just feel my attention going towards an object, like a devotional object. And it's like, okay, that's probably a partner. That's probably whatever. So yeah, that can be totally valid. So what I would do in that case is check in with who you're dating now and just see if they check the boxes for you. Let's look into this. Yeah, Four of Swords is like, Four of Swords is a card of compromise. So I would be curious about if the person you're dating now, and if it's only like date 1 or 2, like you don't have to go into that. Well, you always want to evaluate, I guess. But I do see you like you're becoming more honest with yourself, and I do see you attracting people that are very hardworking, very honest, and what you're looking for is the pig that built the brick house. And I would be curious to know if the person you're dating now fulfills that. However, I do see you compromising a bit. But there's always compromise in relationships, right? But just check in with that. But look for the person that's going to build you a brick house. Okay. Do you ever add oracle cards to your tarot readings? Black Hats Hurricanes asked, do I ever add oracle cards to my tarot readings? I do. Actually, not really, if I'm being honest. I like oracle cards sometimes. It depends on the oracle deck. Most oracle cards I don't really vibe with, but some like indie artists, they do really cool stuff. But actually, yeah, sometimes, but not professionally really, and not for my clients, and not really live either. I do use Lenormand sometimes. That's a pretty cool system. Hey, Warren, how have you been? I haven't seen you in forever. If you have time, can you draw cards for me this year? Absolutely. All right, so let's focus on Warren. And again, if you're on my Instagram, come to my YouTube, because that's the chat that I'm looking at. I'm sorry, guys. I'm too ADD to focus on more than, I can barely focus on one screen at a time, let alone 2. But yeah. So Warren, 10 of Cups. Okay, so I think it's going to be the people that you associate with right now have been a contribution to you and have been really cool. But I do see a lot of opportunity for shifting either your social circle, your relationship or relationships, and just it's recognizing that you've grown past a lot of the relationships that you're currently a part of. I'm not saying that to judge anyone or diss anyone, but it's like fabric. It's like the strings in fabric. We weave in and weave out, weave in and weave out. And I see you kind of starting to weave out of whatever feels comfortable with the 10 of Cups. It's been a rough 2022. So yeah, 10 of Cups is like noticing where you're choosing comfort over what's really in alignment with you. And that 10 of Cups energy is like, it's like this feeling of like this, like, don't feel guilty for not being grateful for what you have. Like, recognize like what you have, but also recognize that you deserve more and you can create more. So yeah, and that Mars planet in that 10 of Cups, that last decan of Pisces, is that place of that that slight discomfort or effort that it takes to kind of shift things around to kind of start in the new Deacon of Aries. So yeah, take more risk in your social circle and your relationships in what you're creating for yourself, the people around you. Cool. I never got to Rich. Is Richard here? If Richard is here, can you let me know? Because if Richard is here, I'm going to go into those email questions. But if you're not here, I'll go into it in another live. But yeah, otherwise, I'm going to start to wrap up for today. Does anyone else have any questions that I can, last minute questions that I can help you with? So just to recap a couple things, lots of questions tonight, some questions about, oh, Richard, hey, okay, I'll go into your questions then if you're here. Okay, cool, because they're really cool. Actually, I might have to do a part 2 for your questions because they open up a lot of fun things. So sorry for the delay. So shuffling, dealing, and splitting the deck, are the cards in quantum superimposition before you flip them? Okay, so I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly because I'm not a quantum physicist, but the approaching it like that, what I would do for you is approach, if you're reading tarot, approach it as if they are in like half of your readings, and approach it as if they are not, and see if your readings are affected by them. And just note take your readings and see the quality, see how it feels when you're reading. Do some like research in that way. I would say that from a normal like standpoint, maybe not, but from like then I go into the like non-dualist Advaita Vedanta world, and I think everything's freaking superposition. So I would say in a sense, like yeah, Schrodinger's cat, like we're not going to know if it's dead or alive until we open the box. I would go as far as to say like there is no cat until you open a box, and there is no tree. Like it's like, does a tree make a sound? If no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? And I would go as far as to say there has to be something there if there's a tree, because if there's nothing experiencing the tree, what tree? That's kind of a bold claim, but it's like, yeah. So in a way, it's like those cards not being flipped up. I don't know if it's quantum superimposition or what, but I would say like in a sense, like the cards don't exist. They're not defined until you see them, because like literally, like and this is why I love the Upanishads, and this is why I love Gaudapada, which I mentioned earlier. But like when you really inquire into this, it's like where can those cards be? Like cards is a human idea. Where does the idea of cards exist? In here, okay? The specific, like for example, like the Princess of Cups only exists right now because we're thinking of her, we're looking at her, right? But and yeah, she exists now. I don't have her in the screen anymore. I put her back in the deck. She still exists. But even now, she only exists because we're thinking of her, right? I would say that it's impossible to prove existence outside of awareness. So in that sense, I would say maybe. Do we influence which card comes from card forms just before flipping? If so, who does, the querent or the reader? That's a really good question. That's another one I don't have a solid specific answer for, but I would say both of you do together, but I would say maybe the reader does a little bit more in the sense that the reader is taking the job of interpreting the card. So in the sense that if it is a card, it is an object of experience, and the object of experience in question is more so that of the readers than the clients. The specific object, the sense object that is more significant in this case is the experience of the cards that the reader is having, a little bit more so than the experience of the cards that the questioner is having. So I would say maybe in the sense that when you pick up a card, when you pick up the Princess of Cups, all your information, all of your study, all of your experience of the Princess of Cups is running, right, in the back stages of your conscious mind, more so than probably the questioner. Show us 1 or 2 techniques for some cool deck splitting. By deck splitting, is that the same as cutting? If it is the same as cutting, what I like to do is I take the beginning of the opening of the key and I cut it in half like this. Let's see if I can. I'm looking at my phone now. I cut it in half like this, and then I cut this in half and this in half, so I get 4 piles, and those 4 piles become the 4 elements, and I draw cards off the top based on each element. How to clarify a given card with others? That's a good question. So it's kind of like context. This is actually where the guide comes in to help a lot. So if you're using this guide, what you can do is the guide, it kind of creates some abstraction, but you can think of specific examples within the abstract information here. And then when you use clarifier cards, you use those cards as symbols of specific examples. So let's say, just gonna off the top of the head, I'm gonna pull like off the top of the deck, I'm gonna pull the star card. So the subject is somebody's goal or somebody's healing journey or somebody's wellness or somebody's like spiritual path. And I might say, well, what about that wellness? What about that healing journey? And then I might pull like the Six of Cups. Now, Six of Cups, we might say, oh, it's pleasure. But a specific example of pleasure might be like a date. Like specifically in the realm of cups, cups being relationships, six being a success in some sort of relationship. So this, in a way, this could be like a fun relationship. I kind of see Six of Cups more as like date. So I would say that in your healing journey, in your journey towards more knowledge of yourself, there is a date or a pleasurable experience with someone close to you that helps with that. So context and scale. Context and scale is key. Scale being, are we like zooming out as the universe and the tree of life, or are we zooming in terms of what can these mean divinatorily, more specifically? Is it better to clarify with other cards from the same deck, or is it better to pull out another deck for this? Great question. So there was a period of time, for a long time, what I would do is I would use the Thoth Tarot as like my foundational comprehensive spread. So if I was doing like the Golden Dawn spread or like the Celtic Cross, I would use Thoth Tarot for that, and that would be like the main thing. And then on top of that, I would pull cards from the Rider-Waite-Smith to get more specific images and more detailed information. And so that was really fun. And usually I would do that if I was working with someone for a long time, if I had like an hour session with them or something. But you can do it either way. People do it either way. But it is kind of fun to have two decks, because then one deck you can have as your solid like place holding spread using deck, and the other deck you can flow with a little bit more, kind of pull cards following your intuition. Patterns in the drawn cards, particularly repeated numbers or correspondences, and how to interpret them. That's a great question. So it's a fun subject. In some of the older school, and by older school, I don't mean like that old school, like within the past like couple hundred years or less. But in some of the older school cartomancy kind of stuff, you do see things like if there are like actually even Waite, I think, has it in his book. Like if you see 4 knights, it means this, or if you see like 3 aces, it means this. So yeah, there's that. I don't really use that much, but I will notice patterns. So if there is a lot of 4s for me, because I'm pretty Kabbalistic in how I approach tarot, I will think a lot about the meaning of 4 and the meaning of Hesed and the tree of life and comfort and all that. And like what, you can go as far as like the demiurge, but not really in readings, but yeah. So yeah, totally noticing patterns is really cool. And yeah, I will tell someone like, hey, like there's a lot of fire in your reading. Like if there's all wands cards, or if there's a lot of court cards, I'll be like, there's a lot of people in your world. But yeah, definitely noticing patterns and see how. And another cool thing is seeing how the client will react to those. It gets especially helpful when you're doing stuff like opening of the key. You can like just look at the general patterns before you even start card counting and pairing and stuff. Yeah. This is Amazing Joe. Okay. Good year head spread for the new year. This is Amazing Joe. Thank you so much. I'm glad I made it in time. Sure sounds good, Joe. Let's go. I'm excited. Woo. The other trees are experiencing the falling tree. Perhaps only they can hear it. Oh, yeah. But yeah, even then it's like the tree. So then it would be, yeah, the trees are hearing the falling tree, but then it's like even the tree. And this goes back to the Gaudapada space metaphor. Those trees, just like us, are containers of the ineffable, absolute, pervasive consciousness. They are also jars of space. They're different jars of space, but they are jars of space nonetheless. How do you read it if, for example, multiple card numbers come up in a reading, multiple 2s, 7s, or queens? Oh yeah, I think I was just talking about that. Does it read differently? Yeah, if there's a lot of 2s, then this is actually why I teach it like this, because you understand the numbers. If there's a lot of 2s, you have what does 2 mean? 2 is a pure force of something. So we're an intense force of something, as opposed to a patience and passive. It's like forceful, it's initiating. So maybe the client is starting a lot of things or being very inspired. And yeah. Kia Oriol, and Happy New Year. Hey, Twix Tarot, good to see you here. So happy you're here. Hi, Joe. I'm wondering if this new job I'm starting is for me. Okay, I'll do this last one, and then we will wrap up. Michelle, if this new job is for you. So the Aeon card is, this is what I'm going to say. If the job in the field in general is going through a major shift that is positive, I would say it's for you. But look for, there's some type of major like shift, or it's like it's either worldwide or like it's very much about the discipline. If the field you're in is going through a big shift and you can feel it, which isn't to say it's an easy, fun feeling, it might be a little challenging, but if it feels like you're part of this shift, it's right for you. If not, if you're feeling like you're kind of stagnating and it's not going anywhere, I would look elsewhere. So you want to look for the thing that's shifting as you're shifting. Shift with it, okay? Cool. How do you handle drop cards that fly out while shuffling? I will usually read the first one that pops out, and I won't read the rest. Some people, the way the TikTok tarot readers, what they'll do is they'll shuffle very vigorously, and they will only read cards that fly out. And to me, I think that's just a little bit aggressive. But it's totally up to you. I would say whatever feels right to you, staying consistent is good. Cool. So quick recap. I'm going to be doing I'm going to be doing 2 more lives. I'm going to be doing a live on meditation, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to be doing another live on astrology, I think. And maybe if I have time, I'll do a live on tarot divination methodology. But do all those influencer things, hit the notification bell to get updates and subscribe and all that whatnot. And let me know if you have I'll alert everybody as the lives come up, but let me know if you have questions for future lives. If I didn't get to you today, just email me and I'll get to you at the next live. But yeah, Advanced Tarot course is starting January 25th. It's going to be friggin' epic. We're going to cover a lot of ground. It's going to get beautifully weird. It's going to be a lot of mystical misfits together. We're going to have really great practice sessions. We're going to discuss a lot of deep things. And then, Thoth Tarot, Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, all that stuff. And then we're going to go into Mysticism for Misfits, which is a program I'm going to do on healing, meditation, and mystical philosophy, which is that's the singularity point of no return. I should have everyone sign a waiver for that one, but it's going to be so good. I'm really excited for that. But yeah, if you want to come and really work on your shit, whatever that is, whatever your resistances are, your patterns, if you want to change, I'm bringing out my most powerful weapons of self-development and mystical philosophy. And it's going to be really freaking cool. I'm so excited. And then we'll be going into Thoth Tarot Mastery course in, I think, April. And then we're doing a professional readers mastermind. So that's kind of an invite-only thing, but you can always ask about that. But yeah, if you want to learn how to read professionally, grow your clientele, do what you love, help people, and get paid while doing it, that would be for you. Okay. Thank you all so much for showing up. I'm sorry that the link had to change. But yeah, keep your eyes open for the next live, and I look so forward to seeing you in the next wormhole. Yeah, y'all are the best. And my TMA family, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for coming. It's so good to see you. And I look forward to seeing you in January and elsewhere. So much Happy New Year. Much love. Talk to you soon.